All right, guys. Well, I know I usually make some sort of a video fixing something or whatever, but I guess I'm just bored. So I thought I'd show you this. I recently started keto and, just looking for things to eat. And what I accidentally made one day was these Brussels sprouts. We were having people over. I made these Brussels sprouts, and then wife had to throw bacon in them. So I'm gonna show you this kind of like really awesome bacony Brussels sprout thing that I wound up making. Here's my mise en place for it. Here's just a Dutch oven, right? And then some chopped onions. So I just chopped those. This is some leftover stuff from my dad. It's like an onion and jalapeno mix. But yeah, why not? That'll be good. Garlic, pound of bacon, cut up. So I have about a ½ inch thick. And then Brussels sprouts and food processor with the little slicing attachment on it. So the way this is gonna start is we're gonna throw the bacon in and then let that go for a little bit, and then we'll throw in the onions, let that go for a little bit, and then we'll throw in the garlic, and then pretty quickly after we'll do the Brussels sprouts. All right, so we got the bacon going. When I first did this, I actually put olive oil in the pot. And then I just realized once all the bacon rendered down, it was just way too much oil. It still was good, but just too much. So this is all just gonna break up, especially as it cooks. It's all gonna start to break up, so we'll leave that be for a second here. Now, we'll talk about the Brussels sprouts. Just, actually, we'll have to weigh this, but I'm guessing it's probably about 3-ish pounds of Brussels sprouts. I cut all the bottoms off. That's what came out of it. I would guess probably about 15% of the Brussels sprouts are now removed. And the reason I do that is, this little fibrous bit down here, I just can't ever seem to really cook them to a point where that just kind of really goes away. And I wind up at, like nicer restaurants, they just serve you that. And I don't know why. It's just chewy and it's never really very fun. They're just being lazy. So anyways, chop them all off. Took 5 minutes, not that big of a deal. All right, the other thing you're gonna see, and I'll show you here when we start putting this through the food processor, is the center of these has a pretty fibrous bit in there as well. And you can't just get that out. It will cook out, but if you leave the bottoms on, it's just, ugh. So don't do that. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna let the bacon kind of start cooking here. And then while that's happening, I'm gonna start with the Brussels sprouts. So, this isn't too challenging. You're just gonna throw a handful in here. All right. And then you're just gonna, okay. So they're gonna shred up down there like that. You're probably gonna have to do this with as many Brussels sprouts as I have here, about 3 times. And then, dump them in. Now, because, I guess you could just wait for the bacon to finish and then do it. I'm just gonna do one batch here, get it going, and then once I put them in, I'll shred the rest of them and throw that in as well. All right, the bacon's getting there. This isn't gonna wind up being like super crispy bacon in this recipe. It's gonna be yummy, delicious bacon. So now it's time to drop all the onions in. Guys, my dad's left over an inch of slight trace of jalapeno, and then we're just gonna get those sweated and start stirring them in. Next up is going to be the garlic. All right, so I know with a lot of dishes you're gonna want to, get the onions where they're kind of starting to look translucent. You could do that, I suppose, but this whole thing's gonna wind up cooking for quite a while, and I don't think you really need quite that. You just want to get them a head start on the Brussels sprouts so that they are just kind of melt into it. So next up is we're gonna put in the garlic, and I realized a couple things. I didn't tell you how much onion I put in. I put in pretty much a whole yellow onion. Now, I've also done this with half of a yellow onion, half of a red onion. That turned out to be pretty good as well. But he had a little bit of like, extra bit of that red onion spice, which was nice, but I don't have a red onion today. So anyways, next up is gonna be the garlic. I'm gonna put probably a tablespoon in. I like garlic, but I'm gonna drop that in there, and just remember, a few things taste as terrible as burned garlic, and this pot's pretty hot, so we're gonna want to just like really, number one, watch it. We're gonna stir it, and then I'm gonna dump the first bit of Brussels sprouts in there pretty soon afterwards. We just want to be really careful with that garlic. Right now, total cook time has been probably like 6 or 7 minutes, just for reference, but you'll know it's just kind of the bacon starts cooking up a bit. Again, we got a long way to go, so everything's gonna be nicely cooked. Okay, garlic's been in there for about a minute, not really all that long, stirring pretty frequently, and now we're just gonna put all of our first batch of Brussels in. So put those in, stir them up, and then what you're gonna want to do is you're gonna want to hit it with pepper for sure, and then I usually put just a little bit of extra salt in there because the salt is plenty of salt in the bacon, but the salt's also gonna help break down these Brussels sprouts. So I just use a salt mill, a pepper mill. Probably each batch of Brussels sprouts I'll do 3 or 4 turns of pepper maybe, and then maybe like 1-ish turn of salt. Probably gonna work out to be in this whole thing maybe a half teaspoon of additional salt, maybe a little bit more, but yeah, not a whole lot. So I had mentioned before that there's some kind of, the center of the Brussels sprout is pretty fibrous, and this is what I'm talking about. You'll see lots of things that go through like this, and they're pretty tough, especially the way they wound up getting cut. Like that. That's if you were to eat that raw, that's a pretty tough, fibrous piece of material. It's gonna get cooked down, so it wound up being good. But that's kind of one of the ways that as I'm cooking this thing, that I kind of know when it's there. Number one is it will start to taste pretty sweet as the Brussels sprouts are cooking, but then number two, when I kind of find those fibrous bits, they're pretty soft and delicious. All right, here we go. Everybody's in the pot, the bacon, the Brussels sprouts, salt, pepper, garlic, onion, all in there. Now we're gonna cover it, and 20 minutes is probably about right. I'm on low heat. I will probably stir this about every 5 minutes. Just make sure everything's getting nice and even heat on it, and really mixing all the flavors in there. And then, get a fork and start tasting it. The real thing that you're looking for, so I mean, that bacon's gonna be cooked, the onions are gonna be nicely done. Really what you're looking for is the texture you want in the Brussels sprouts. So for me, it's about 20 minutes. You want them, and that texture is slightly firm, like just barely, just Brussels sprout. If you want them more firm, which my wife actually likes, less time obviously. If you really just want to pulverize them, just keep going. All right, there we go with the finished product. It is 2 pounds, 8 ounces, about 2.5 pounds. Pound of bacon, started with about 3 pounds of Brussels sprouts that probably got cut down to about 2 3/4 pounds or so. And then onion, garlic, salt and pepper.